All right. I guess that's kind of like our...
All right, yeah.
Welcome to our review of Dark Phoenix, which, surprisingly, the title's not X-Men Dark Phoenix. I don't know if anybody's
just
looking.
Dark
It's just
Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix, which is actually the final X-Men movie after 20 years with Fox before Disney takes over the license. So,
Interesting.
What a way to send it off.
I should clarify very, very early here that this is going to be full of spoilers. We've only done one spoilers video before. It was with Star Wars, but we also did a non-spoiler for people. This one, it will not be an option. We're just doing a spoiler-filled one. So you have been warned.
Yeah, can't really review it without going into details. So.
And it's just so good that we can't stand doing a review on it twice.
All right, so this is your last chance. If you don't want spoilers, log out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What the hell was that?
Best X-Men movie ever?
That
Or
was...
best superhero movie.
it was definitely not the best Superman movie. That movie was terrible. I get that I try not to show my hand too early, but that was awful. Somebody else start.
I mean, what did they do to some of those characters?
All right, let's start with the movie itself, okay?
Okay.
Movie opens up with a scene, Jean Grey as a child, driving with her parents.
Yep.
Gets her mutant powers, which is fine. It's well established not all mutants in the universe get their powers at puberty. Some have been known to get it as early as birth. She causes the death of her parents, and this somehow doesn't come up until now.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Cool. We get some scenes of Charles took her in,
Yep.
gave her a home, raised the X-Men, and then we start the movie proper with a team heading in the Blackbird to outer space to save some astronauts.
Yep.
And up until now, movie's been all right.
Yep.
And I actually felt when they were going up in the Blackbird, that I was like, wow, we're going to get like an actual ensemble movie. So many of this X-Men movies were just, we're going to focus on this person or this person, but I was like, well, we're going to have a group. That did not last long. We get to outer space. There is a solar flare, they believe. They have to save astronauts, and Jean Grey gets caught in the blast, which is where my first big issue with this movie comes in.
Is that not what happens in the lore?
No. But let's ignore any lore outside of the movie franchise.
Yeah.
Let's ignore the fact that X2 and X-Men 3 Last Stand takes place after, even though there's the big theories that
It's a different timeline.
different timeline with, the Days of Future Past. In X-Men Apocalypse, the movie prior to this one, how did they stop Apocalypse?
She used her Phoenix powers.
She used her Phoenix powers. Fast forward to 1992, right, when this movie takes place, and she gets the powers from this solar flare.
Well, obviously, what happens is you start this movie, she gets her powers, then they have the Apocalypse movie, and then they come back to this movie.
But
That's what happened.
Apocalypse movies in the 80s.
They went back in time? Days of Future Past?
I would have accepted if we found out that they did kind of, get even further from the lore and say that it was actually a solar flare
Yeah.
that just unlocked the Phoenix powers inside of her. Because they even later allude to, walls that Charles had set up, but really it's just for her childhood trauma. I would have accepted that, this blast was so powerful that it knocked down any barriers that Charles had put up to stop the Phoenix inside of her. But that's not the case because clearly later in the movie they get away from that.
Yeah.
And that is where the movie just goes downhill and does not improve from that point on.
Yeah.
It started off so well.
You know what? I didn't mind the beginning of the movie.
No, it was fine.
I didn't mind.
Saving the astronauts,
First 10
that was
minutes or
fine,
so.
whatever. Even
Some
like
of it
her
did make
saving
sense.
them from the solar flare and her getting hit by it was okay. It's just that the whole powers thing was why.
Can we also talk about the outer space scene here for another moment? How much of Earth's weather and climate atmosphere is in outer space?
About 25%.
Storm just creates ice to seal the ship in outer space, which I could accept.
Okay.
She was using the solar
She's using the
flare's
atmosphere that's within the ship
within
that
the
was
solar
escaping.
flare.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, I can kind of let go.
I'm gonna sidetrack here a little. Storm was the jubilee of this movie. If you know what I mean from the
Yeah.
X-Men animated series. Her powers were so wildly inconsistent. You have the movie, the scenes in the train at the end. She's hitting people with lightning, destroying everybody. Earlier, she's fighting dude with the hair,
Yeah.
and she's like throwing like ice cubes at him.
yeah.
And it's like, so
That ain't gonna stop him.
You were good to
Lightning
make
blast him.
ice cubes in
He
Cyclops'
is not a
cup.
martini.
You're good to make ice cubes in Cyclops' cup, but then you get power. I actually researched this later for anybody who doesn't know. The entire train sequence was a reshoot later. It was not in the original filming.
Really? That's hilarious.
That was all reshoot. That's why it was so wildly inconsistent with the previous parts of the movie.
I mean, the entire movie was inconsistent. If we want to talk inconsistency, let's talk the aliens. What are their powers? Are they just anything they felt like giving them at the time?
So I had to look that up, which is also a bad sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are an alien race from the Marvel Universe who did have their home planet destroyed by the Phoenix.
Okay.
Shouldn't the movie tell you that?
I mean, it explains that.
Like,
sort of.
I saw, this is a Phoenix story, they're gonna go to outer space.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the Shi'ar Empire, right? We're gonna see Lilandra, right? No! And honestly, I didn't even care enough to look up any further than that. That is an actual race from the universe. And I'll just accept whatever the heck that was for what
I
it
was, yeah, I mean, realistically, you know, I was expecting them to go Phoenix Force, like that kind of level. But I don't know. Yeah, the alien stuff really confused me because I was just like, okay, so there's these aliens. If their planet was destroyed by the Phoenix, why are they after the Phoenix? Like, other than if they wanted to kill her, okay, or like destroy the power or whatever, right? But they wanted the power. It's like
They wanted the power so that they could take over Earth and make it their new home.
they probably could have done that anyways. I mean, they were giving the X-Men a hell of a lot of trouble, even without any
Clearly,
Phoenix power.
they had shape-shifting abilities. The one guy, like, disguised an FBI agent and was in the White House. You're telling me they couldn't just, like, shape-shift, kill presidents, kill political leaders? It just made no sense.
Yep.
I want to detract us one more time.
Okay.
Michael Fassbender.
Okay.
Probably one of the higher points of the movie because his performance is fantastic as usual.
Yep.
How old is Magneto?
So say in the 70s movie, he was...
First Class was 1962.
So it's 92. So
in
30 plus whatever age he should be.
In the First Class.
Yeah.
They show him in the camp when he gets his powers. You know, everybody knows that scene, busting the gate because his parents are being taken away from him.
Yep.
They don't say how old he is there, but that takes place in
the
1944.
Yeah.
Right?
He
They
would've been,
say
like,
they say
10-ish.
1944. Say 8 or 10, okay? First Class takes place in 1962. You can say what you want about the alternate storyline from Days of Future Past, but that does not take place prior to his birth. So his age should still be his age. I mean, this goes for a lot of characters. I'm just using
Yeah.
Magneto as the example. So now this movie takes place in 1992.
Yeah, he should be like
He-
30 years old. Or 60 years old.
He looks
He
good.
is 30 years
He
old.
looks good for a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let's take, for example, the original X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Okay? They say there's alternate timelines, but again, it shouldn't affect age.
No.
Ian McKellen, or McKellen,
Ian McKellen, yep.
played Magneto in the first X-Men movie, which was set in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Which means 8 years from what we just watched, he goes from Michael Fassbender to Ian McKellen. Why put these years on there? It's just like my argument with Johnny Mnemonic, or
Yeah, Johnny Mnemonic.
Johnny Mnemonic, where he increases his size by megabytes.
Yeah.
Just don't put in numbers. Say he doubled it. Say he used, cranium units, something. Make it up.
Yeah.
You're putting these dates on specifically, and they even go to flashbacks and they show, well, this was in 1944 when he was in the camp, and this is 1992, and it's just like, Why? Just don't put dates on it. Just
Spray
say
his hair gray.
Just say this is later, right? This
Yeah.
is later in the movies.
Yeah.
Somebody else go for a bit.
I don't know.
Talk about the actors.
I mean, some of them were horrible. Oh my god.
I think they were pretty consistently. There was one thing they were consistent about. They were consistently bad.
So, Kurt Wagner, okay? That is the worst German accent I have ever heard.
I thought, from a visual standpoint, he looked terrible.
Yeah, that was not a good Nightcrawler at all.
Okay.
Not even close.
I realize I'm yapping a lot. I probably will. I'm going to try not to, but I probably will because you guys know...
You love the X-Men.
I love the X-Men. I mean, when we did past X-Men reviews and you saw all those movies and comic books in the front, those are all mine.
Yeah.
Right? Jennifer Lawrence just looked like she was there to collect a paycheck.
Of course.
She is a good actress. In this movie, it looked like she was just like, okay, this is the last one. Just let me out of here.
She was
You know what I
bored.
will say is that I'm so happy she died. I mean, we're talking spoilers, so it doesn't matter. But I'm so... Because I have hated...
my God.
She even looked,
okay.
bored at that.
No. Let me finish one point, okay?
Okay.
I have hated them putting Raven at the forefront just because she's a big name. I've hated that. Because, like, the X-Men have been traditionally led by Scott Summers. And then even after that, there's been other leaders and stuff like that. But it's never been Mystique that I have ever known.
I mean, they did Emma Frost at one point. But,
Yes.
But, okay. This brings me to another problem. How did Raven die?
She got impaled on wood.
By wood because
She got shot across a street?
yeah.
Yeah.
Whose blood is on your shirt? How did Jean get blood on her shirt when she knocked Raven, like, clear across the street and to get impaled?
The clear answer here is that she exploded her chest before sending it.
No, the blood.
Did you guys catch on to that at any point?
The blood just shot like all the way across. it was a geyser.
Okay, and continuing
ridiculous.
with characters, I do believe that the acting, like James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, were okay.
Yeah.
Every actor's performance is crippled by the material they had to work with.
Yeah.
The guy who
absolutely.
plays Beast, Nicholas Holt something.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I like the X-Men. I don't know all the actors. But, for example, his scene at the table when Professor Xavier comes to console him or have a drink with him and talk to him, and he knocks the drinks out and he's like, it's all your fault, this, you. Like, there's so much flip-flopping.
Yeah. Honestly, that was the most emotion I've seen out of any character this whole movie, though.
But it didn't make any sense.
It didn't, no.
Right? It's just like, okay, the whole movie, Professor Xavier, who they try to make look like almost like a villain.
He
Right?
looks
It's
like a dick.
Jean Grey can read your mind, and she can't read all the other scenes where it's like, he's telling her father he'll take her because he doesn't want her, but they're going to blame Professor X for some reason. But, besides the point, whatever. He's talking about how, one incident will sway the public. And it's just like, so there is one incident. And all of a sudden, mutants are the enemy. And let's get the military. And, like, really? You know, you got the X-Men who are being applauded, who are in the news, who are getting awards. One incident with Jean hitting a couple cop cars, right? And it's like they're enemy number one. Which also brings me to another point. Okay? How did the police find her? Unless you say the dad called the police from the kitchen, how did they find her? Even Professor Xavier was like, I can't locate her. The only reason they went to her father's house
because he knew
because he knew that.
Yeah.
Later on, because the police come, I'm going to assume the dad called the police. No idea why he would do that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's the case, but I'll suspend disbelief. She goes to Magneto's camp. 2 helicopters come. How did they find her?
Well, they were there. They knew where Magneto was, and they assumed she'd go there. I mean,
why would you
Why?
assume?
They know that Magneto is an enemy.
Yeah.
It was very public in Days of Future Past.
But where else would she go? I mean,
The X-Men? I don't know.
I mean, if they're looking for her, I can understand that much. If they're looking for her, they might as well check places she might go to, right? And the other thing is, There's someone pulling the strings there. There's the guy in the White House. He could easily be tipping the cops off and setting all that
After
up.
one scene in the White House, they show him. He's with the main villain.
Yeah, the white-haired chick.
For the rest of the movie. He's not in the White House. He's there. Yeah. I please talk about special effects or something.
Special effects were fine, honestly. Like, I don't have a problem with anything they did. Like, the lightning blast, the Phoenix abilities, like, they looked okay. It wasn't bad.
I thought some of the camera work during some of the fight scenes didn't show off enough of the fight.
Fair enough.
I felt like a lot of the action was just lost in that. Whereas many of the previous ones, they did a really good job of catching, like, all the action.
I will say, if they didn't reshoot that train scene, there would have been like no
nothing
good
else.
action.
Yeah.
Right? Like there was a fight scene in front of the manor, which has a whole slew of problems itself too.
Yeah.
Like so many problems. Why does Cyclops suck so much?
I don't know why they want to make him suck in the movies. Like, I mean, he was pretty awesome in the cartoons and, like, the comics.
Okay, so I get a gun, okay? I have to aim by, like, looking down the barrel and lining it up. He has to look at you.
Yeah.
And he misses constantly. What is he doing? Like, okay, I'm going to fire. Right? Like, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
like,
terrible.
if his eyes are able to track your movements, he should be able to hit you.
And honestly, he should be like, boosh, boosh, like constantly like firing.
Luckily,
that's his power. That's what you do. You don't punch and kick. You shoot things with your freaking eyes.
Luckily, there was that one car that had a rear view mirror made of ruby quartz so that he could bounce it around a corner. Because, you know, a regular mirror wouldn't have been just destroyed from his blast.
Vaporized.
You know, they firmly say there's only two things that can stop his beams. Ruby quartz and his eyelids. He can bounce it off a mirror when he wants to. Yeah. And then in a minute later, he blasts through a wall. Which he had to blast through the wall because there was a subway car in the way. Why was there a subway car in the way? They put all this effort into Magneto, like pulling up the subway car from the Earth to barricade a door. There was a bus in the scene. There was like 20 cars. I just don't understand.
And you're barricading it with something that can be easily like ripped apart by basically everyone there.
I will say this about the special effects. I did find that a lot of the times, like for example, when, what was the main villain's name?
I honestly can't remember. So
when her and Jean are like locked up and she's stealing the Phoenix essence,
yeah,
it's almost like they went overboard so that we couldn't see what was going on. Like they were trying to use the special effects almost as like a mask, a cover. I don't. Please go. Like, I need to stop talking.
I mean, I think the movie. I mean, the story obviously ruined the movie first.
Yeah,
the acting ruined it second. Like after that, like,
I don't. The thing is, I don't blame the actors for that, right? Because I mean, like most of them have shown that they've been able to act in the past.
Yeah,
it's definitely the writing. It was lazy writing.
Yeah, I mean. But they showed such poor emotion. And, okay, even if we say, yes, it's all blamed on the writing, then the characters. I'll say that the characters ruined it.
Yeah.
Whether it's acting or the writing, doesn't matter. The characters were awful.
I don't know. They did a pretty sweet job with Dazzler.
Like, Jean Grey, in particular, was terrible.
You know who Dazzler is, right?
No.
She was the one that was like shooting all the like sparks into the air during the party.
Oh, okay.
She was in the X-Men arcade game. Remember? She was
the best.
I don't think she was the best, but
what was I saying? I've totally forgotten.
Okay. You were talking about characters.
Oh yeah, right. Jean Grey, the main character obviously of the Dark Phoenix movie, shows basically no emotion throughout the entire
Can I
movie.
summarize the Phoenix script in this movie?
Sure.
I can't control it.
I can't control it. I don't know.
How many times?
But wait, I can control it.
Can somebody explain to me how she went from not being able to control it? Your laptop good?
Yeah.
She went from not being able to control it to decimating everyone.
I can control it now.
It was love, Sandro. It was love.
Maybe it was downloaded into her brain through the Matrix. I don't know.
I mean, the way they played it was that, like, Xavier was able to calm her down, right? Because of that whole incident where she saw what Xavier was doing for her, right? And realized that she was wanted and loved
She
and
couldn't have,
needed.
She couldn't have realized that from like the 20 years she was with them. She couldn't have realized that from the fact that she's supposed to be an intelligent person and not a complete idiot. Like, how is she this stupid? Isn't she one of the most intelligent of
She's
the
an
X-Men?
Omega level mutant.
Yeah, like, isn't she
Well,
one of the
intelligence
most...
isn't necessarily with the Omega level.
I mean,
anyway,
if you're an
so-
Omega level mutant and one of your abilities is psychic
Telepathy? Yeah.
telepathy, yeah, you should be pretty
intelligent.
smart.
She was so stupid. Like, unbelievably
To
stupid.
me, a big part of it was because, like, what did she say? I have to protect my family.
yeah.
Is that the trigger? Because Mystique was your family.
Yeah.
You didn't feel the need to protect her then.
Your dad was your literal family.
Well, I mean, he gave her up. He was a
bad dude.
Bad dude. But like, it just like Cyclops. Cyclops was so one-dimensional, and he had the best line in the movie
Yeah.
because they let him swear.
Oh.
It was like the first time in those movies, other than I think Logan was rated R.
Yeah, Logan was rated R.
Where they cussed, and he was like, I'm gonna effing kill you to Magneto. But apparently, if you can't look straight at Magneto, he can't effing kill him anyway, so it doesn't matter. But like, but for the rest of the movie, it was just like, you are the equivalent of room temperature water when it comes to personality. Like, bland, boring.
I still liked him better than Nightcrawler.
Well,
At least Nightcrawler had some cool fight scenes when they finally decided, like, that was...
They were pretty good.
The teleporting one with
I don't
the girl.
know why all of a sudden he decided to start fighting, because he was clearly against it earlier.
Yeah.
But that was more, like, reminiscent to, remember X2 when they had Nightcrawler being controlled in that first scene, and he was like, teleporting and stabbing, and like, he killed a guy with his tail? Did I see that right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, right through the side of the neck or
yeah.
whatever.
I'll at least give him that.
Yeah.
What did Cyclops do?
Shoot a mirror.
One line, which I thought was cool. What did Cyclops do of note in that movie that was good?
He became a TIE fighter for a moment.
Pew!
Oh my god. We were in the theater, okay? And they said, like, Cyclops, go stop the ship from spinning by shooting it.
Oh, yeah.
And all I hear is Alex start cracking up in the theater.
Because it's like the worst thing ever. It basically set the tone for how stupid this movie was going to be.
Honestly,
because it's like, just,
you know what?
Just blast it.
Why
and
would
you'll
he
stop it.
blast it to stop it when Jean is a telekinetic? She could stop it.
But no, she can't, because she's, even from the beginning, she's like, oh, I'm not good.
How were they prepared for Cyclops to shoot that?
They
They had clearly indicated they'd never gone to space with this ship.
knew.
Why would they have a pod like that ready?
It's kind of like the bat belt. You just have that there for just in
Good thing I
case.
have my anti-shark repellent spray.
Yeah.
Yeah. let me get this giant like bomb out, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Gene, I like you. Please don't do this. I really like you. And there you go. That's
You
pretty much
said
it.
you'd always return to me.
That's the writing, though.
How much did those two feel like a couple to you?
Oh, not at all.
Honestly, aside from like the one time they kissed,
Yeah.
they were barely even siblings,
Yeah.
right? Like they had the worst
Siblings, I guess.
But I just mean like for their
Star Wars.
I mean for their relationship.
Yes.
There was
yeah.
no
There's
like,
no
romantic
connection there.
chemistry
Yeah.
at all.
There was more chemistry between her and Wolverine, and he wasn't even in the movie.
What? What else?
I don't know. I mean, like, what else is there to say?
Don't go see this movie.
No, it's pretty bad.
Even for an X-Men fan who wants to see how the last 20 years of movies ends, don't.
It ends badly.
It does end badly. Oh, man. I know as soon as we stop recording, I'm going to come up with a bunch of other things to complain about. But I think the main ideas are kind of covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well,
Go
we
with
can to
final scores.
I can go first.
I mean, that's kind of the tradition.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go 4 out of 10. I know.
Just to clarify for everyone, on our scale, a 5 is average.
Yes.
5 is not bad. 5 is average.
So I'm only going a little bit below average, and I think it's because I didn't totally regret watching it. You know, I can't say I really enjoyed myself, but it wasn't like I felt like my hour and a half was wasted.
The movie was an hour and 54 minutes.
Well, okay, then. Almost 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it was wasted.
He skipped 20 minutes of it. That's why it went by so fast.
There was 20 minutes where he fell asleep watching the movie.
Probably in the middle when they were just preparing things and then preparing more things. And then, oh man, that middle part that just dragged on.
Oh my god.
So
Okay.
bad.
All right. I know we're in the middle of scores, but why did they never pay off Quicksilver as Magneto's son?
Yeah,
They teased it heavily
Oh, yeah.
in the previous movie. And in this movie, it was just like, well, he wasn't even in half the movie.
I think
I mean,
that
he
was one
got
of the
tripped up
worst
at the
parts.
beginning, and that was it.
Yeah, like he had basically 2 tiny scenes where he did his speed thing.
They didn't want to
But
pay
he
him.
didn't have one of those big scenes like in the previous movies.
Yeah.
Where he does something that's like an amazing, funny scene.
I'm
right?
okay with them not paying off that he's Magneto's son in lore, but then why did you build it up in the previous movie?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Alec, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you know, as bad as the movie was story-wise and the acting was, like the fight scenes were pretty entertaining, what little there was, and it wasn't the worst. Like,
Can I make a point about the fight scenes?
What?
Those aliens were also suffering from the Jubilee symptom. There was aliens that like would take full rounds of guns just fired into them and laugh it off. And then other ones that would like get hit by a lightning bolt. Like
Or get ripped apart by a couple
Beast!
like, around.
These two are done.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
They were so inconsistent. Like, I mean, between not being able to figure out what their powers were, because they could crush chests, they could change form, they could use, like, I don't know what Phoenix powers, I guess. And they were somewhat invulnerable, somewhat not.
Some of them died to guns, others survived guns.
Yeah, like, what was wrong with them? Anyways, despite all that, I'm gonna give it a pretty high score. I'm gonna give it a 4 as well.
Okay. I'm giving it a 2 out of 10.
Wow.
I
Not
can't-
super surprised, but
I can't tell you how many times in the theater, if you were listening to me, you probably could have heard me say, "Oh my god," or turn to Alex and be like, "What the hell was that?" Right? Like, this was terrible. Even if I take away my X-Men fandom, all the other lore that I generally try to base this on because I have difficulty looking at it in a vacuum, they don't explain who the villains are or what their powers are in the movie.
Yeah.
They don't have a plot. Like, this movie has no plot.
Yep.
If you look at it, she gets powers, she can't control the powers, she can control the powers, the movie's over. Right? Like, there's no plot in this movie.
There's no build up to why she can't control them, and there's no build up to why she suddenly can.
Exactly.
So even the plot there is bad.
Actors phoned it in.
Yeah.
So many of the actors phoned it in. Not that I can blame them because they were given no material to work with. I cannot think of a redeeming feat for this movie. Even the fight scenes, as few as they were, I couldn't get over things like the inconsistencies. Cyclops bouncing beams off of little mirrors. Storm being super powerful and not being super powerful. Like, even if I take away the fact that she's an Omega level mutant outside of these movies and is supposed to be supremely powerful, in this movie, there's moments where she can't do shit.
Yeah.
I can't. 2 out of 10. Josh, you do the outro.
well, I mean, you heard it from us. Don't see this movie if you can help it. And please tell us if you like this movie. If you see our review and you like this movie, tell us why, because we do not understand.
I expect our comments section to be just as bare as usual, and that's including all of the people in this world who want to defend this movie.
So anyways, let us know what you think. Tell us if we're on the mark with our scores here, especially if Sandro score of 2 is deserved, or if you think it was a 10 out of 10.
This close to a 1.
Anyways, let us know. And until next time, live in the real world, play in a pixel one.
Hey, did you like that video? If you did, be sure to let us know by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. If you want to be first in line for any new content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and then hit up our Facebook page. The link's in the description below to see what's coming up next.